Hi, this is Max from Abstract Automation. Today I'm going to talk about getting used to working in a web browser. For some people coming from traditional desktop software, going into the world of Zoho where you use a web browser to access all of your business apps can be a little bit of a tricky transition. So here's a few tips I'm going to show you to help you along the way. So a couple things here. Number one, my first piece of advice is standardize yourself on a specific browser and use just that browser for your business apps or for your work computer. Okay, too many times I look at somebody's computer who's using Zoho and they've got two or three different browsers installed and they kind of just use them interchangeably, and it creates a lot of confusion. Things like your bookmarks don't sync across different browsers. If you're using Chrome 1 minute and Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge the next minute, things are not going to kind of sync up and you're going to get confused and lost pretty easily. So pick a browser and stick with it. Next thing I suggest is make sure to bookmark all of your apps or all of your Zoho apps inside of your browser. So when you open up your browser at the beginning of the day, you have all of your Zoho apps listed as bookmarks. You can even put them into subfolders here to keep the organization nice and tight. But when you need to go to your app like Zoho CRM, it's just a mouse click. Again, so many times I say to someone, okay, let's go ahead and log into Zoho CRM, and they just start Googling Zoho CRM. They're looking through the search results or trying to figure out what's the right link to click to log in. We can just avoid all of that wasted time by just creating some bookmarks. Another tip is to create a bookmark folder on your bookmarks bar that contains all of the Zoho and other apps that you would like to open up in one shot at the beginning of the day. So for example here, I have a folder in my bookmarks called Startup Tabs. That folder has 4 different Zoho apps. It has Zoho CRM, Zoho One, Zoho People, and Zoho Books. Just by right-clicking on that tab and saying Open All, it will open a tab for each one of those apps in the folder. And now I'm ready to start my day with everything that I need at my fingertips. Another tip is when you're working with multiple apps across many tabs, you might want to pin those tabs. So what that does is if we right click on a tab and select pin, it will make the tab much smaller, which means we can fit more tabs across the screen. And it will prevent a X icon from displaying to close the tab. So you're much less likely to accidentally close these tabs throughout the day. And so what I generally do is I have a tab for my CRM, a tab for my Zoho Books, a tab for my email, and I have all my tabs pinned and sitting there, and they never close. And every time I come back to my browser, they're there. Saves me a lot of time looking for things. Everything's always in that same order from left to right. It keeps things well organized. Another note is if you're a Zoho One user, there are 2 different interfaces that you can choose from, and you may not be aware of it. So what's on my screen right now is called the Zoho One Unified Interface. What that means is on a single tab, I'm able to use this side panel on the left and navigate between my different Zoho apps by clicking on the sidebar here, and I'm not leaving the tab that I'm in my browser. Some people like that interface. I do like that interface. However, I typically have a dedicated tab for each of the Zoho apps that I'm using. I just like to work that way. If I want to switch from my Zoho CRM to my Zoho Books, it's just going from this tab to the other tab. I find that sidebar in the Zoho One interface, I don't like how it overlaps with the sidebar of some of the other apps, and it can get kind of clunky in my opinion. In the past, there were some performance issues with the Zoho One interface. It seemed to be a lot slower than running your apps in individual tabs. I think largely Zoho has addressed those speed issues. So whereas previously I would highly recommend to clients to not use this interface, these days I tell them it's total personal preference. There's nothing wrong with using either way. Another thing is the zoom level on a browser. So a lot of people aren't aware of this. So when I look at my Zoho CRM here, if I feel like the text is too big, I'd rather see more stuff on the screen at the same time, so I have to do less scrolling, I can come up to the top right hand corner and I can increase my zoom or decrease my zoom level. Right now it's at 90%. I can bring it down to 80%, let's say. I can fit more dashboards on my screen at the same time. I can fit more of a customer record on my screen without having to scroll. But there becomes a point where that text might become uncomfortably small for some people. If you do not have good eyesight or you have a small computer monitor or whatever, you can also go the other way and increase that zoom level, bring it up to 100% or even higher than 100%, whatever your comfort is. And the good news is for each domain that you are adjusting your zoom level, so in this case crm.zoho.com, your browser will remember anytime you're on that domain what zoom level you previously left it at. So it's okay if you have your CRM at one zoom level, but say email like Outlook or some other software in a completely different zoom level, the browser will remember that from session to session as you left it last. That's really it. My only other suggestion is if you're using a computer that is not owned by something like that, at a hotel lobby or something, please make sure when you're in that web browser session that you do log out of your Zoho account for security purposes. But other than that, it's just a matter of getting comfortable using a web browser for your day-to-day. So I wish you the best of luck, and I hope these tips